Hi folks, Joseph Kursky here. Let's map some geotagged photos in ArcGIS Pro from Esri. Let's start a local scene in ArcGIS Pro. We want to do some things with 3D here. So let's start a new project with a local scene, and we're going to focus on New Mexico. Now, especially with 3D scenes, I find it helpful to create bookmarks. So let's go ahead and create a few bookmarks, one for New Mexico, and then let's go ahead and use this locate tool to locate a latitude longitude coordinate. A latitude longitude coordinate where my study area is. Dripping Spring, New Mexico. Dripping Springs, plural. In the beautiful, fabulous Organ Mountains southeast of Las Cruces. Now I'm going to run the geotagged photos to points tool. I've already downloaded my geotagged photos, which are right there. So I'm looking at that folder and I'm giving it an output feature class in the geo database. I'm also providing a untagged error file just in case, but I don't have any untagged. I can verify that those things have geotags on them by looking at the properties as you see here, and if it has a GPS coordinate, then you're good to go. If you don't have a GPS coordinate, there are GeoImgr, imgr.com, and there's some other tools. Be cautious about those online tools that add geotags though. But there are some ways to get the tags on there if you do not already have them. Now that I've got them as a feature layer in my ArcGIS Pro project, I can drape it on top of the 3D surface. Now notice here that I'm looking at layer properties as an absolute height, and I'm floating them above the terrain by about 5 meters. Oftentimes you have to do this, otherwise you do not see your points. And I'm also going to create a bookmark here. As I mentioned, with 3D scenes, it is very helpful to create a bookmark because then you can set the declination, the direction, the zoom factor or scale factor, etc., just how you want, and then you don't have to tinker with that later on. You can go to your bookmark easily. So now I've got those points on there and I'm adding my bookmarks, and I can verify that yes, I've got my New Mexico bookmark, and I've got my Dripping Springs bookmark, and I've got my Organ Mountains bookmark. A few tech notes here. As I just pointed out, your points might be hidden by the terrain. So you have to offset the features. In this case, I'm doing it by 5 meters. Note the difference upon doing so and feel free to further adjust the offset as you see fit. Now, your 5 points should be visible in your study area in their correct position. Note that I was just using a phone. I wasn't augmenting it in any way with a higher end GPS like a Bad Elf or a Topcon or a Trimble. And then for your new feature class now, you want to configure the pop-ups and add attachments. Add attachments. The attachments are your photographs. Test the pop-ups and make sure your photos appear. All right, let's take a look at that in ArcGIS Pro. Here are my attached photos. Look at that. What beautiful terrain. What's not to love about that? So those are the attachments once you've got them in there. And this is my geotagged photos to points attribute table. Notice that I have an XY because that the GIS read the correct position from the photo properties and put them in their correct location with the workflow that I outlined a moment ago. And the last step was adding attachments in the pop-up. Okay, so just as one more review, let's go to Configure Pop-ups. This is where you will add the photos as an attachment. So all is well, and I hope that was helpful.